Let's pray. Guide, we beseech thee, Almighty God, members of this honorable house, that they may wisely deliberate for the good of this country and for the glory of thy holy name. Join me as we say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pray be seated. Honorable members, this Parliament now convenes.
Item number 3, oath of allegiance or affirmation of a new member. Item number 4, confirmation of minutes.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Well, St. George's, on Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025, and on the 4th of November, 2025 at 9 a.m. be taken as read. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, 28 October 2025, and the 4th of November 2025 at 9 a.m. be taken as read. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. I think the ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025, and the 4th of November, 2025, at 9 a.m. be confirmed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, the question is that the minutes of the proceedings of a sitting of the House of Representatives held at Parliament Chamber, Mount Welldale, St. George's, on Tuesday, 28 October 2025, and the 4th of November 2025 at 9 a.m. be confirmed. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Item number 5, messages from the Governor General. Item number 6, announcements by Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have been advised that the leader of His Majesty Opposition, the Honorable Eminent Pierre, will not be joining us today. She has had to travel overseas. I also want to inform this Honorable House that the Clerk of Parliament is now on a brief vacation, and so we have an acting clerk this morning in the person of Mr. Adrian Joseph. And finally, following the sitting of Parliament today, we will be handing over the keys to the vehicles that would be assigned to the various parliamentary offices. Those are my announcements.
Item number 7, presentation of petitions. Item number 8, presentation of papers and reports from select committees. Item number 9, unopposed private business.
With the minister light is on. You have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In respect of item number 8, I wish to present the following papers and reports. Minutes of the meeting of the Committee of Privileges held on Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025 at 10 a.m. at the Chamber of the House of Parliament. As well as, Mr. Speaker, number 2, minutes of the proceedings of the House Committee held on the 17th of November 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Chamber of the House of Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Government Business. The aforementioned papers are now laid in Parliament.
Item number 9, unopposed private business. Item number 10, questions.
Proceed. Proceed.
Item number 11, urgent questions under the provisions of Standing Order number 21, notice of questions. Item number 12, statements by ministers.
Proceed.
Item number 13, personal explanations.
Mr. Speaker,
MP for St. George Northwest.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to make 2 short statements here this morning. I recall when we first started this entire parliamentary session after the June 22nd general elections, the first time we met as a group of elected parliamentarians. I did advise members, based on my own experience over 40 years in this House, that it is important that members from either side, the government and opposition, at least a member be appointed to deal with the question of parliamentary sessions, which is so fundamental because this law house is composed of 2 critical parts, government and opposition. And one without the other is not ideal. So there was some debate because I don't think some members understood the point I was making, but every day I see things convince me why it was necessary. Because in all my years in the South, I've never seen a situation where we just called and said a parliamentary session is set up and you get a notice. So I questioned always the member from our side and said, look, what is this called? Because the government members, ministers, they are permanently employed people. And they have a responsibility to their jobs as full-time officers of the state. The members of the side of the opposition do not have that. They have to earn a livelihood, although some people claim I give them this and I give them that. Nobody gives me anything. I never asked anybody for anything. So, that decision is critical because we have a life outside of this house. Today, what we have, the leader of the opposition, is not here. You believe that if she knew, as a responsible member of this house, that a session was going to be planned and the consultative process that I advised was done, that she would be out on an important day like this? I doubt it, although I didn't ask her specifically, but I doubt it. So, Mr. Speaker, I was asking you to use your good office to see to it because it is having a fundamental problem. I've missed some session and I've not even called, and I won't, because it disrespect to members of the House, particularly the opposition, is so fundamentally flawed. And it does not make sense. We are creating issues that we should not be. It makes no sense, Mr. Speaker, that we are doing this. A simple consultative process. So, in fact, my staff at my office in my constituency told me they got some documents at 4:30 yesterday afternoon. What am I to do? A document that comes in 4:30, document come in any time. Mr. Speaker, I urge you to use your good office because you are supposed to be the umpire in this house. And each side deserves respect. And that is so fundamental going forward. The second point I want to raise is this. I never asked anybody for vehicles for Northwest St. George's. I was not party to any discussion on vehicles. I believe that it is abuse of our roles and responsibility in this critical time when there are so much pain and suffering outside it. So this member of this house will not accept any vehicle, not today, tomorrow, or whatever. In fact, I don't have a long time left in this house, so it can be next year and 2 years from now and so on. But it will not be accepted. That money that's being used to buy vehicles that are not necessary, in my view, could be used, the people of Northwest facing consequences that they would like solved. Sell it, make the money available for the Northwest constituency, not me, for the people of Northwest to be able, in this hard Google times. So, Mr. Speaker, I am speaking from the heart, not the NDC heart, a real heart. I will not accept and don't want, whether Northwest St. George, I don't know how these vehicles are, what writings or things are on it, but if they have Northwest and its please say Northwest representative, which I'm still here at, having received 80% of the votes of the last election, will not accept any vehicle from the taxpayers of this country. What we have, we are doing with it. The people are suffering, let them have the benefits of that money. We have already received 100% concessions. We are not here as parliamentarians to treat ourselves nice and to see how much times we have treated parliamentarians better than any other. Forget that. Parliamentarians know when they accepted responsibility to be here, they beg for the job, we beg for it. So we're not here to just butter ourselves, Mr. Speaker. So I'm saying openly here, count me out, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MP for St. George Northwest. Proceed.
Item number 14, motions.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker rises to propose the following motion. Whereas debate on the gracious address delivered by the Governor General on the occasion of the ceremonial state opening of the 4th session of the 11th Parliament on Friday, the 12th of September 2025, was deferred to a date to be named. Be it resolved that the said address be further deferred to a date to be named. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, just come to the bench. Let me just see the supplementary. Sorry about that, honorable members. I couldn't find my copy of the resolution. Honorable members, the question is, whereas debate on the gracious address delivered by the Governor General on the occasion of the ceremonial state opening of the 4th session of the 11th Parliament on Friday, 12th September 2025, was deferred to a date to be named, be it resolved that the said address be deferred to a date to be announced. All those in agreement, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Item number 15, bills.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to introduce for its first reading a bill for an act shortly entitled Fisheries Amendment Bill 2025.
A bill which seeks to amend the Fisheries Act, Cap 108 of the Principal Act to enhance the regulation of the treatment of marine mammals within the waters of the state of Grenada.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the relevant standing order of the House be suspended to enable the bill to go through all the stages at this sitting. Thank you.
Honourable members, the question is that the relevant standing order of the House be suspended to enable the bill to be taken through all its stages at this sitting. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. I think the ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the second reading of the bill.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill be read a second time. Do you have government business? Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fisheries Amendment Bill 2025. Mr. Speaker, over the years, Grenada's fisheries sector has evolved from essentially small-scale to large-scale fishing, targeting tuna and tuna-like species in the ocean. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding this, there is an imminent ban against Grenada exporting fish and fish products to the United States of America if action is not taken soon enough, including the passage of this bill. Mr. Speaker, on the 2nd of September 2025, according to notification published on the website of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, Grenada was denied a comparability finding and prohibition against the importation of fish and fish products originating from Grenada into the United States of America. This, Mr. Speaker, is proposed to take effect on the 1st of January 2026. Mr. Speaker, it is apparent that this decision was taken because Grenada had not demonstrated seriousness in reporting and dealing with recommendations over the years to consistently report information to NOAA and to apply the recommendations under the Marine Mammal Protection Act of the United States of America. Who is NOAA? Mr. Speaker, NOAA stands for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a U.S. federal government agency within the Department of Commerce. Its mission, Mr. Speaker, is to understand and predict changes in the Earth's climate, weather patterns, ocean movements, and coast, and to conserve and manage coastal and marine resources. NOAA, Mr. Speaker, is the source of weather forecast, storm warnings, climate monitoring, and managing fisheries and marine ecosystem within a 200-mile radius of the U.S. coast. And it operates under 6 line offices, including the following: the National Environmental Satellite Data and Information Services, National Marine Fisheries Service, National Ocean Service, National Weather Service, Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, and the Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. Mr. Speaker, as part of the Department of Commerce, NOAA is responsible for the stewardship of national marine resources like fish, marine mammals, and other species. It conducts research, Mr. Speaker, to support sustainable fisheries, protect marine life, and conserve habitats. NOAA employs approximately 11,000 staff within the United States, including scientists, policymakers, enforcers, and so on and so on. Mr. Speaker, there are several species of marine mammals. Over 130 different species, Mr. Speaker, including whales, dolphins, seals, sea lions, walruses, manatees, dugongs, sea otters, and polar bears. Mr. Speaker, these animals are divided mainly into 5 main groups based on taxonomy and reliance on the marine environment. These include cetaceans like whales, dolphins, and porpoises, sirenians like mantis and dugongs, pinnipeds like seals, sea lions, and walruses, mustelids like sea otters, and ossidae like polar bears. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to the Grenada fisheries sector and its importance to our local economy. Grenada, Mr. Speaker, has seen its fisheries sector over the years evolve from small to large-scale commercial type fishing. Mr. Speaker, fishing like tuna-like species, accounting for some 70% of the reported takings by our fishermen in the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, fishing contributes significantly to our sector, to the performance of our national economy. Within the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker, it accounts for some 46 or 31%, Mr. Speaker, of the agriculture sector, fishing alone. And to the national GDP, some 1.5%. It's also, Mr. Speaker, a significant contributor towards reducing unemployment. And according to the FAO report of 2023, it accounted for some 3,500 direct jobs. 86 of them, 86% of them, Mr. Speaker, full-time employment. However, the fisheries sector accounts for approximately 6,000 jobs when combining direct and indirect jobs. So, Mr. Speaker, you can see the relevance to the fishing sector, of the fishing sector, Mr. Speaker, to Grenada's economy. Mr. Speaker, our fishermen have made significant investment. And so, Mr. Speaker, the total capacity of fishing fleets, as per 2024 report, there was some 990 fishing boats 90% of them are motorized fishing boats. And Mr. Speaker, it is reported that fishing is one of the fastest growing sector in terms of performance. So what's the importance to us? Mr. Speaker, fishing makes major contribution towards our economy, towards our food and nutrition security and sovereignty. It also contributes, Mr. Speaker, to poverty alleviation, to the national income. It contributes to employment generation and provision of sustainable livelihoods. And of course, Mr. Speaker, it's a significant exchange earner for us. Mr. Speaker, therefore, it is highly imperative that we develop strong legislation that will protect the fishing industry and at the same time align ourselves with regional and international partners. Mr. Speaker, in order to support this call for alignment, we must keep in mind the economic benefit of the fishing industry. So it cannot be done in isolation. Our annual average fish production over the past 10 years, Mr. Speaker, accounted for some 5.5 million pounds of fish, valued at 50 million East Caribbean dollars. During that same period, Mr. Speaker, the annual average of export was 2.5 million pounds, valued at 35 million East Caribbean dollars. So that's how important it is to a sector and to the national economy. Mr. Speaker, our fishermen and government alike has made significant investment in the sector, amounting to some 500 million EC dollars. So we cannot, Mr. Speaker, we cannot just do nothing. It is important that we act, and act quickly, and act wisely. So, Mr. Speaker, we can sit on our hands. We can pretend that notice was not served. We can pretend that we have other engagements and not show up to the Parliament of Grenada. And for some, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding that they're being paid to sit in the Parliament, that's ordinary, that's okay. But while we do that, Mr. Speaker, our marine mammals are still endangered. And so strong legislation, Mr. Speaker, is imperative that we implement strong legislation to protect marine mammals. We have a number of endangered species, including the blue whale, the bowhead whale, the fin whale, the North Atlantic right whale, the sea whale as well, and all of these species, as I speak, Mr. Speaker, all of these whales, they are endangered, and so they have to be protected. Dolphin too, Mr. Speaker, is also endangered. and so many of our sea creatures. So, Mr. Speaker, there are several threats to the survival of marine mammals. Several threats to these marine mammals. They include bycatch, habitat destruction, pollution, the effects of climate change itself, ship strikes, and historical exploitation. Mr. Speaker, through bycatch, marine mammals can get accidentally caught and drowned while fishing. Global bycatch, Mr. Speaker, is estimated as some 650,000 whales, dolphins, seals, and other marine mammals are caught and killed, Mr. Speaker, accidentally via bycatch. Mr. Speaker, bycatch is the greatest direct cause of marine mammal injury and death from human activity. Habitat destruction. Mr. Speaker, the loss and degradation of marine habitat threatens marine mammal ability to feed and breed, to find food and breed themselves and multiply in the ocean. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, to speak about these things because a lot of these things happen because of us humans. As I speak, there's a book called Animal Farm, where the animals, you know, Mr. Speaker, recognize the destruction by humans and so decided to retaliate. But, Mr. Speaker, we might be smiling at this, but pollution, Mr. Speaker, by us. And if we do not educate ourselves and educate the population, Mr. Speaker, and pass legislation to ensure that we protect the environment, sooner or later, Mr. Speaker, we will not be able to feed ourselves. Where does food come from? Either the ocean or on the earth by way of planting. Animals and plants. And so, Mr. Speaker, we have to protect. Climate change, Mr. Speaker, is another one. The warming of the ocean temperatures and the melting of the Arctic ice, that too, Mr. Speaker, impacts significantly the sustainability of marine mammals. Ship strikes. Multiple ships moving across the ocean bed. And marine mammals coming into contact with them can result in death. And of course, Mr. Speaker, overhunting, if you might call it that, or overfishing, that too. So, Mr. Speaker, I say all of this to say, Mr. Speaker, this bill is important. We have to do what we have to do. This bill seeks to amend the Fisheries Act, Chapter 108, which is the principal act, Mr. Speaker, to regulate the treatment of marine mammals within the waters of Grenada. The bill, Mr. Speaker, contains 4 clauses. Clause 1, Mr. Speaker, provides for the short title. Clause 2 provides for the amendment to Section 2 of the Principal Act, which treats with the insertion of new definitions for the observer and marine mammals. Clause 3, Mr. Speaker, provides for the insertion of a new section, Section 28A of the Principal Act, to establish the observer and monitoring system to improve the administration of the Principal Act. Clause 2, Mr. Speaker, seeks to amend Section 2 of the Principal Act as follows. A, in the definition, Mr. Speaker, of fish, by inserting after the word eggs a comma and the words and marine mammals. This, Mr. Speaker, is to embrace marine mammals in the definition of fish. So the passage of this bill, Mr. Speaker, will include marine mammals as fish. Mr. Speaker, secondly, by inserting the appropriate alphabetic sequence, the following new definitions. Observer, Mr. Speaker, means the two definitions. One, as I mentioned earlier, the observer, and two, marine mammals. Observer, Mr. Speaker, is a person authorized to record monitoring, to record the surveillance information on marine mammals, and to record, authorized, Mr. Speaker, to record fishing operations and to also record marine mammal life history information and other scientific data. The observer, Mr. Speaker, is also authorized to collect biological specimens during fishing activities. And he or she is authorized to discharge any other function as prescribed by the Chief Fisheries Officer. Marine mammals, Mr. Speaker, means any mammal morphologically adapted to the marine environment, including whales, dolphins, and so on, those that I mentioned earlier. Clause 3, Mr. Speaker, is where we seek to introduce a new section, Section 28A to the Principal Act. So it is amended by inserting after 28 the following new section: Observer and Monitoring Program. A1, the Chief Fisheries Officer, Mr. Speaker, shall establish, plan, and manage an observer and monitoring program for the purpose of collecting and reporting reliable, accurate information for scientific management and compliance purposes under the Act. Subsection 2, Mr. Speaker. For the purpose of this section, an observer shall exercise scientific monitoring and other relevant functions that may be on a fishing vessel or facility related to fisheries that have been granted a license, permit, or authorization under the Act. Section 3, Mr. Speaker. Subsection 3, a person who desires to be certified as an observer may apply in writing to the Chief Fisheries Officer. And 4, upon the recommendation of the Chief Fisheries Officer, the Minister may appoint such a person. For the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, the Chief Fisheries Officer may utilize electronic monitoring systems instead of a person observer. And the Minister, Mr. Speaker, may make regulations to give effect to this particular section. And finally, Mr. Speaker, Clause 4. Clause 4, Mr. Speaker, provides for the amendment of Section 40 of the Principal Act to expressly empower the Minister to make regulations relating to marine mammals. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the amendment inserts a new section 4 to empower the Minister to create offenses under this Act. However, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Seelan, the penalties prescribed by any regulation cannot exceed 100,000 East Caribbean dollars or 12 months in prison. So, Mr. Speaker, this is the construct of the bill. And so it is my honor to present this to the House and to ask members to support this very important amendment to the Fisheries Act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Leader of Government Business. The MP for St. George Northwest.
Experience.
MP for St. George Northwest, the floor is yours.
Mr. Speaker, despite the long and unnecessary presentation of historical information that all of us are aware of, and I think the country is aware of, could have been a turn off. But the basic thing is we have a bill here today which deals with a fundamental issue that we all clearly on this side of the House assume that all members are in support. Yeah, because clearly those who have lived in areas where the fishing industry served almost everyone, like myself, the Boucher-Joux, Happy Hill, Molinier, Grand Mall, Fontenoy area. Fish is what took care of all of us. My grandmother, who was a main vendor at the fish market for over 70 years, since she was about 20. She died at 98. She was able to give me the little, those days, shilling when I go into presentation college. I used to have to pass it to collect that to buy a little bread and saltfish to survive in St. George's. So I understand, having grown up in Brizan, Boucher-Joux, and San, the importance of the fishing industry for the livelihood of the people of this country. And over the years, we have seen how it has transformed to a higher level by many of the younger men involved in fishing, dip fishing, and other aspects of the fishing industry. But the fact is, given what we understand is the case and the possibility of fish export from Grenada being banned in an important market, we cannot play politics with this. This is not about politics. It's about the livelihood of the people of this country. So clearly, I can only assume that all members of this House will support both sides. And therefore, I'm standing here to do this. I had other appointments this morning, Speaker, but I only came to deal with this because I thought it was important for me to be present. But I still want you to be aware of the significant statement I made on the personal speaking. So whether people agree with it or not, but this is how I feel. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to say I support this bill going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for St. George Northwest. And I now invite the MP for the town of St. George to take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I see my friend, the fisherman in the house, who wants to fish. But, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate you because I do have. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the member for Northwest about expressing support for this bill. I don't think any of us here would in any way argue that this should not be done in the interest of our country and our officials. But there are a couple of things I think that we need to highlight, if I may. One is our vulnerability to what is done in the places where our major markets are. So, for example, while this is protecting marine life, it's really spurred on by what's happening in North America and the insistence on North America for that we do this in order to access their markets. And I have no difficulty with it. I'm just saying it should highlight to us the importance of ensuring that there's that synergy support, there's that awareness of how the market can be volatile sometimes and the trends in the market so that we adjust our productivity, our production, in fisheries or in agriculture to suit what the market wants, or else we will find ourselves, and sometimes without notice, losing markets for some of the products we have. So I want us to highlight that. In addition to that, it seems to me that this is going to lead to, based on what the member said, is going to lead to some need to improve technology. I think he mentioned that in the last couple of phrases. And for that, our fisher folk will need support. Access to capital, and either access to capital personally or through government assistance. Because this is technology that I'm sure could be quite expensive. I'm not sure the experts will say that, but we need to ensure that our fisher folk are not disadvantaged by the need to upgrade what they're doing. They're asking, reading and I want to commend the member who presented for the charts that was put up, because there's extensive information there to indicate to our population, to our people, the importance of fisheries. I always say that our blue economy is much larger than the land space that we have. If you look at our delimitation lines and all of that, that is an area that we should expand on. That is an area that we should do more in. And I want to say that that the information put up there with all of the statistics on the, particularly on the Grenada's fisheries sector and its contribution is very significant, and I hope that that could be, the minister, I guess, would speak more about that, but that could be made widespread so that our people understand the importance of that sector for economy. Sometimes we take it for granted. It's just some fishermen out there doing fishing, we buy some fish. We don't understand how important it is to give the support necessary. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have with businesses is two things. And I want to make this a general point. There's too much bureaucracy in getting business done. Grenada is ranked very low. And I know that has been for years, so I don't want this trading back and forth. Simply said, we need to make it easier for businessmen and businesswomen to establish businesses, but also we need to make it easier to access capital. It is the easiest thing to do in Grenada is to get money to buy a bus or a car. It is much more difficult to get money to establish a business. Of course, the banks are risk averse, and I understand they hate risk. But there are ways in which we can ensure that the risk is minimized and allow access to capital. And this is not a criticism. It is merely an observation from what I'm hearing. And fisherfolk fall into that bracket to ensure that they get more access to capital, particularly in the context here now, that there would be an increase in expenditure on their part to ensure that they do what is necessary to access the markets for their products. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this morning's exercise is good, not only in the context of getting this done. I I do hope that we get it done in time. I'm not sure why it came up at such the last minute. I'm sure the Minister for Fisheries will explain that. But I do hope that whatever needs to be done between now and the time when they're threatening this cutoff, that it is done. And I think both sides of this House, all sides, not both sides, are there? There are 3 sides now, I think, 3 entities now. I think, I'm not Mr. Speaker, would highlight me on that. But all of us in here come together and make it happen collectively. There is no fishermen here and fisherwomen there. There's all of us trying to ensure the success of the industry. And I do express my full support for this bill, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for the town of St. George. And I see the light of the MP for St. Andrew. Southwest, please take the floor.
So thank you, Mr. Speaker. A very pleasant good morning all. Mr. Speaker, I stand to give my full support to this bill. And in so doing, I first wish to commend the leader of government business for presenting this bill with such intelligence, demonstrating the importance of the fisheries industry to our economy and to income, employment, and output, foreign exchange earnings to our country. And it has been so eloquently done, Mr. Speaker. Maybe I should not spend more time to repeat, but as the representative for the tongue of St. George would have indicated, we can make those details available throughout Grenada so that the population would become even more aware of the importance of our industry, of the fishing industry to our economy, to our country, and of course to our people. Mr. Speaker, in supporting this bill, I would want to focus on what we as a government, through the Ministry of the Blue Economy, what we have been doing to avert the likelihood of that decision being implemented come January 1st, 2026. What we as a government, what we have been doing. And Mr. Speaker, as soon as we got the message, official message, I think it was sometime on the 26th of August 2025, the ministry moved quickly to put together a 15-point action plan agenda to avert the likelihood of the measure being implemented. 15 points, action. And in that 15-point agenda, the first thing that we did was to establish a task force. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that that 15-point agenda was discussed with the Cabinet. Cabinet approved it. And we therefore went to work with alacrity immediately. And in that 15-point agenda, Mr. Speaker, we created a task force with specific duties to fulfill by November 21st this year. And the task force comprised staff from, of course, the Blue Economy, from Foreign Affairs, from Legal Affairs. We also incorporated a local fisherman as well in that task force. And we incorporated local academics who are familiar with the issue, like Dr. Stephen Fletcher and Mr. Vincent Roberts. Good. And we went straight into the implementation of the task force. Activities involved meeting with the chief, the head of the embassy in Barbados. She came down to meet with us, together with the principal officer here, and they indicated their support to us by trying to make contact and work with NOAA for us to avert the likelihood of this happening. And the task force, Mr. Speaker, actually focused on three main areas that are in keeping with the letter we got from NOAA, indicating the areas that we should really focus on if we are to avert that decision taken. So the task force went on. One, we had to update our Fisheries Act, our fisheries legislation. The present fisheries legislation, Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, sir, is old, 1986. It makes no reference to sea mammals. So that's the first thing that we have to do. And we work not just with our local people, but we also got assistance from the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, and we recruited a local Grenadian based in London, Ms. Dawn Dikoto, to assist us as well with the Act and with the regulations, which is another aspect that we have to look at. Good? And a number of meetings, of course, were held to discuss this. So the fact that we are here today is the result of work that the task force would have done, the team of the task force would have done, to get the legislation ready so it could come to the Parliament for approval. The second focus of the task force was the regulations. The regulations have to accompany and be part of the Fisheries Act. And the regulations went to the Cabinet. Cabinet approved it. So we have two things already fulfilled. Once this bill is passed today, we already have two major aspects accomplished. The third thing that the task force focuses work on was the implementation, and he made reference to it, a member for tongue of the city of St. George. The implementation of a digital vessel monitoring system on all of our commercial vessels. And in that regard, Mr. Speaker, to complement these legislative agenda, we are working with Compete Caribbean and the Inter-American Development Bank to support that digital monitoring and traceability that will allow us to introduce digital vessel monitoring on our commercial fisheries, our commercial vessels, and also with the Coast Guard as well. And of course, it will also help us with building a proper fisheries data platform. So where we are, Mr. Speaker, is that we are in a position where we can now, or we would have met, if I may say, all of the conditions that NOAA would have pointed out for us to avert. And in the letter that NOAA sent to us, let me just say, NOAA reported to us, and I want to read it, that in his correspondence dated 26th of August 2025, NOAA stated, in the event that Grenada has new information relevant to the denial of Grenada's comparability findings, Grenada may submit such information for NOAA's fisheries reconsideration, and where appropriate, reversal of this determination after January 1, 2026. So all of the work of the task force, really and truly, were geared towards fulfilling that major objective. And therefore, where we are, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that now we are in a position to do just that, to submit the additional information for NOAA's fisheries reconsideration and reversal of this determination by January 1st, 2021. And our intention, Mr. Speaker, is to have that done in our work plan. The work plan states that we're going to have that final recommendation done by November 21st this year. So we're in time. So the passing of this bill today, Mr. Speaker, is extremely primordial in our effort to avert that decision come into place early in the new year. So, Mr. Speaker, obviously, you can see that the ministry would have done its work. We would have done our work. Good. We are at the point where there is a likelihood that the decision can be averted. We know over the last few months, Mr. Speaker, America was shut down. And that was one of the problems we were having, to make direct contact with NOAA. America was shut down. I understand now America is now open for business. And that we are working with our ambassador in Washington, Terry Francis, to have that direct contact with NOAA, so we can not just present in writing, but present physically, in person, with NOAA, all of these additional information that we have to avert the likelihood of that decision taking place. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am extremely happy to hear that in this House, that this is a matter that the whole House considers of national importance. And the whole House is here to give full support to this bill. So, Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to thank you very much. But I want to repeat, Mr. Speaker, I have to say much thanks. I have to say much thanks to the task force, because they work without rest. They work diligently. I myself attended some of the meetings and some of the discussions. And so I have to give a lot of thanks to this task force. And I have to call a name too. So you have Mr. Rennie, the PS, Javan Williams, and his staff in the Fisheries Division of the Blue Economy, Dr. Stephen Fresher, Mr. Vincent Roberts, Ms. Dawn DeCotto, a young lady, Grenadian. I think she's based in London. She helped us with the regulations. She drafted most of the regulations, and we discussed it with her. Very bright lady. I think she may be still in Grenada. Good. The staff in FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, they came down, they worked with us online with the drafting of the regulations. The staff in legal affairs, we have Ms. Becker is here. They too work diligently, Mr. Speaker. I mean, I am so proud of our people that when it comes to the issues of our country, when it comes to affecting Grenada as a people, we join our time, our talent together and produce what is required to avert the implementation of something that has negative implication for our economy. And so, Mr. Speaker, with these few words, my full support to this bill. And thanks again to the team that worked together.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable MP for St. Andrews South West. And I think it's the MP for St. John. Honorable, please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and good morning to all of the honorable members of this House. Mr. Speaker, as parliamentary representative for the constituency that carries the soul of the nation's fishing heritage, St. John, the fishing capital of Grenada. I know that my colleague from Carriacou and Petit Martinique might differ, and also my colleague through you, Mr. Speaker, on the other side of the House, St. Mark, might differ. But we are the fishing capital of Grenada. Mr. Speaker, I rise in full support because where I come from, fishing is not an occupation. Fishing is an identity. It is the pulse of Guave and St. John. And so for generations in Guave and across the parish, the day has started long before dawn. Most of our residents and our constituents would see longliners slipping out quietly, ice trucks and vans lining up the premises of fish markets, vendors, shopkeepers. In other words, Mr. Speaker, an entire local economy organized around one simple fact, that fish must land, it must be handled, it must be sold, and it must be exported for families to eat and children to go to school. So this mere fact, Mr. Speaker, is indeed a bread and butter issue for my constituents. Mr. Speaker, for decades, we have seen export companies like the Northern Seafoods who carried this parish and carried this industry in terms of exporting, providing livelihoods for hundreds of families across St. John and the wider West, and by extension, the entire of Grenada. Today, we have other companies and other exporters, such as the G-Next, those that are located on the south, who have stepped up to the plate, Mr. Speaker, to keep that economic chain alive. And so, Mr. Speaker, between the exporters, the vendors, the processors, ice makers, even the mechanics and small businesses, fishing is not an industry in St. John, but it is an entire ecosystem. So when we speak about a ban on fish and fish products entering the United States markets from Grenada, effective January 1, 2026, Mr. Speaker, we are not speaking about an abstract trade measure. We are speaking about the possible unraveling of the economic heartbeat of Gulf and of many coastal communities on the West Coast and across this country. And so I'm happy and I wish the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Member of this House through you, Mr. Speaker, who spoke about the importance of that sector was here. Because had we done our due diligence and had we done justice to those risk takers, as the member for the Tongue of St. George so eloquently stated, Mr. Speaker, we would not have been here today. This issue, Mr. Speaker, has been on the books for over a decade. That means, Mr. Speaker, we had 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, maybe we could say pandemic, 2021, 2022, even on our side too, Mr. Speaker, 23, 24, and now we're in 25. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue is one that is really near and dear to me. The United States, Mr. Speaker, has been in many respects our main export destination for yellowfin tuna and other species, as you've heard the leader of government business explored and went through the long listing of those species, earning millions of dollars in foreign exchange for Grenada every year. Analysts have already warned us, Mr. Speaker, that a ban of this nature could indeed lead to the collapse of a sector, or at the very least, inflict deep, possibly irreparable damage if we do not respond decisively and intelligently. And so against this backdrop, Mr. Speaker, this bill is perhaps, in my humblest opinion, the single most critical piece of legislation to cross the floor of this House this year. It is a necessary and decisive response to a profound threat, the imminent loss of crucial export markets, a threat rooted firmly in the neglect and the failure of successive administrations over the past decade to prioritize the marine and the blue economy and overall marine governance. Mr. Speaker, this is a bill about conservation. It is about compliance and, most importantly, climate resilience for our cherished blue economy. And if we are honest with ourselves, Mr. Speaker, as you've heard, the leader of government business stated, he has expressed the contents of NOAA and what and why we are here in terms of the comparability findings under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. In plain language, Mr. Speaker, what NOAA has done is judged our country to state that our regulatory framework and our enforcement of protecting marine mammals from bycatch and intentional harm are not yet comparable in effectiveness to those of the United States. And Mr. Speaker, the leader of government business again, I don't know how many of us listened to his presentation, his intervention this morning. He listed what these marine mammals are. And if we are honest with ourselves, these marine mammals don't come to our shows. They don't chart our geographic location via sea. So when I spoke in other meetings, in other sittings here in this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, and I made the representation and I spoke about the big dogs and the small dogs and how important it is, and it was taken out of context. This is another example and an eye-opener for us to see that in order for us to ensuring that we can have access and sustain our economic development, we sometimes have to bend backwards as small dogs to ensuring that we meet these requirements needed for us to have the access to the markets. Mr. Speaker, this, of course, is not a judgment on the quality of our fish or on the character of our fishers. It is rather, Mr. Speaker, a judgment on institutions, on our ability as a state to monitor, to report, and to regulate in a consistent, professional, and timely way. So, Mr. Speaker, while we will debate clauses and sub-clauses as we're going to pass this bill throughout its 3 stages in this House today, the men and women of Guelph and St. John by extension are continuing to take risk that most of us in this chamber will never have to take or cannot have the ability to take. We ask them to put to sea in the dark, Mr. Speaker, often in rough waters, in small vessels. We know that even with our fishing vessel safety regulations, which require extra fuels, radios, life rafts, flares, minimum crew, and safety gear, too many of our fishers still sail on the edge, Mr. Speaker, of safety because equipment is expensive and the margins are very thin. And yet, Mr. Speaker, despite all of these challenges that our fishers face on an annual basis, they remain among the most resilient workers in this country. They have survived hurricanes, Mr. Speaker. They have survived fuel spikes, price spikes. They have survived pandemics. They have survived damaged jetties, lack of number of cold storage facilities, cold storage breakdowns on a regular basis. They continue to feed us despite all of these challenges that they are faced with, Mr. Speaker. And they continue to earn foreign exchange for us, even when policy, and as a member of the Tongue of St. George stated, bureaucracy lag behind them. As parliamentary representative for St. John, Mr. Speaker, I have supported our fishers way before I became an elected member in office for the constituency of St. John. And my support to stand behind that sector came as a result of tremendous support and partnership with the private sector and with private sector partners. I have been able, Mr. Speaker, and I'm proud of that, because it doesn't take us for us to be in a political situation or be the political representative or the parliamentary representative for a particular constituency to understand the issues that affect where we come from, either by birth or by migration or by parental lineage. We have given $300,000 EC dollars worth of safety equipment. That includes, Mr. Speaker, GPS units of the best kind that you've heard the Honorable Minister and the member for St. Andrews Southwest express in terms of essential gears for officials across St. John. With the private sector and private partners, Mr. Speaker, I made it my mission to ensure that when our men and our women go to sea, they go with a fighting chance of coming back home. This crisis, Mr. Speaker, I would implore again, did not begin with this administration. And we can't play politics with the issue, Mr. Speaker, but sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves so that we don't mislead the people that we represent. Mr. Speaker, as I've stated earlier, we have lost an entire decade to prepare, a decade to enact the regulations, a decade to establish a monitoring system, a decade to ensure that our officials who feed us will not wake up one morning to discover that their livelihoods are cut off by a foreign government. That decade is lost, but things are happening, Mr. Speaker, and we are looking ahead. Mr. Speaker, this is indeed not a partisan accusation, but this is a structural diagnosis. This ban, Mr. Speaker, is not the fault of our officials. It is the predictable consequence of weak systems, reactive governance, and the absence of professionalized institutional practices over many years. And if anyone doubts, Mr. Speaker, the long-standing cracks in our fisheries and our marine governance. We need only to recall, Mr. Speaker, the Guave fishers' strike some years ago. That strike, Mr. Speaker, although very different in some aspects in nature, it was a direct reflection of the same underlying truth that we are faced with in this honorable House today, Mr. Speaker, that when institutions fail to protect the sector suffers. When institutions fail to plan, Mr. Speaker, communities absorb the cost. When institutions are not proactive, Mr. Speaker, crises meet us unprepared. So, Mr. Speaker, we are here today because institutional fragility, left unattended, will eventually reach breaking point. And so this Fisheries Amendment Bill 2025 is not a symbolic exercise. It is a lifeline, Mr. Speaker. It is the minimum legal foundation that must be placed for Grenada to reapply for a comparability finding from NOAA in 2026. Mr. Speaker, this is not only about Grenada complying with the United States. It is about Grenada maintaining the credibility in global trading system where access to conditions when access is conditional, Mr. Speaker, and where small island developing states must meet elevated sustainable standards if we are to survive. And so if we want our blue economy to flourish, Mr. Speaker, if we want our fishers to access premium markets, if we want investors to trust our regulatory regime, then we must build institutions that are modern, that are resilient, and science-driven. The world is watching, Mr. Speaker, how we manage our marine space. The world is watching how we treat with vulnerable species. The world is also watching, Mr. Speaker, whether small states can behave like mature, responsible members of the international community. So passing this bill, Mr. Speaker, is not only a requirement, but it is a declaration of this government's seriousness and a commitment that we are for and we will support the marine and fishing industry or the blue economy of our small island. Mr. Speaker, when a Guave fisherman pushes off from the jetty at 3 a.m., or maybe from Waltham at 3 a.m. in the morning, he does not push off for him alone or for himself alone. He pushes off for his family, for his community, and for his parish, whose identity is anchored in the sea. This Parliament, Mr. Speaker, must do the same. We must pass legislation that protects our people, not only today, but tomorrow. We must also, Mr. Speaker, ensure that we repair the institutional gaps that brought us here, and we must do so with humility, maturity, and an unwavering commitment to safeguarding the livelihoods of our citizens. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. I stand firmly, proudly with the people of St. John, with our fishers, our exporters, our vendors, and all who depend on this sector. And I want this bill, Mr. Speaker, to mark the beginning of a stronger, more accountable, more resilient fisheries governance system for Grenada. Mr. Speaker, we are a small island developing state. We do not dictate the global standards. You've heard the member on the other side, Mr. Speaker, through you, mention that. But as a small island, and as small islanders, Mr. Speaker, we survive by meeting these standards. In today's world, the market for seafood is governed by environmental traceability. International law is tightening, Mr. Speaker. Conservation standards are rising, and we are on the brink of COP as well. And I know my time is coming to an end or might have been ended. But I would end by saying, Mr. Speaker, if we want our fish to enter premium markets, if we want our exporters to remain viable, if we want our blue economy to attract investment, and if we want Guave to continue being the fishing capital of Grenada, then our institutions must function as if the world is watching. Because, Mr. Speaker, the world is indeed watching. So in closing, I use this opportunity as well, Mr. Speaker, to remind our public servants of the duty that they have, not for those who are in office now, not for a particular political brand or color, but for the people in which we all represent. And so we have to ensure that as public citizens and as public servants, Mr. Speaker, we act with professionalism. We have seen the breakdown of what it costs when we use our personal emails, when we use our personal access to contact information to do government's business and parliament's business. We cannot continue to break down our institutions. That is why I gave my commitment to run, Mr. Speaker, to represent these people and to ensure that our key sectors that contribute to our GDP have longevity and that they are successful. So, Mr. Speaker, when institutions fail to support the sector proactively, crisis eventually erupts. Let this be our learning lesson, and let's ensure that when we are coming to this honorable house again at the next sitting or whenever, Mr. Speaker, that we are coming because we are proactive and we are supporting and conserving the blue economy of the state of Grenada. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP, for the constituency of St. John. Now, I think I've figured out the one for Carriacou and Peter Martinique first. So I allow you to go, Honorable MP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, let me just say that Carriacou and Peter Martinique, most of Peter Martinique is the fishing capital of Grenada, an argument done. I also want to start by saying, Mr. Speaker, you know, there are people who know better. And because of political mischief, just decide to make political mawit, lack of a better word. Because I heard, Mr. Speaker, that as a result of our Prime Minister traveling too much to Africa and associating with other people besides certain government, that the U.S. government put a ban on Grenada. And as a result of that, that is why our fish, we would not be able to export fish to the U.S., etc., etc., etc. But I think today's debate, and based on what the leader of government business has explained, and also my good Kakabawi friend, through you, Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Fisheries, have explained, we've gotten some clarity that there were some requirements that were requested since 2016, and it has not been fulfilled. As a result of that, Mr. Speaker, we are here today. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, a bill that is critical to protecting both our fishing industry and the livelihoods of many families who depend on it. As I've stated earlier on, the United States has announced that effective January 1st, 2026, fish and fish products from Grenada will be banned from entering the United States market. This decision comes because Grenada has not yet met the key requirements under the U.S. Marine Mammal Protection Act. For us in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, Mr. Speaker, the fishing capital of Grenada, this is not just policy. This is personal. You see, Mr. Speaker, our fishermen and fisherwomen depend heavily on exporting their catch to the U.S. market. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is part of the urgent work required to reverse that ban and safeguard the income, security, and dignity of our people. The bill, Mr. Speaker, strengthens our laws by prohibiting the intentional killing or injuring of marine mammals, establishing a monitoring and observer system for greater accountability, creating penalties to ensure compliancy, and setting the legal foundation for new marine mammal regulations. These reforms, Mr. Speaker, is necessary for Grenada to reapply to the U.S. authorities and to regain market access. The Ministry of Fisheries, Mr. Speaker, is already advancing monitoring improvement, incident reporting systems, enforcement frameworks, and consultation with stakeholders to prevent the ban from taking effect. Passing this bill, Mr. Speaker, is not optional. It is essential. It protects our industry, supports our coastal communities, and demonstrates to the world that Grenada is serious about sustainable and responsible fishing, Mr. Speaker. And might I add, Mr. Speaker, that today's activity in passing this bill, I believe, is one of the final requirements to ensure that this ban is reversed. So the government has been working assiduously to reverse the ban and to safeguard our fishermen and women, and most importantly, the fishing economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I fully support this bill.
Thank you, Honorable MP, for the constituency of Carriacou and Pidimotnik. The light of the Honorable MP for St. Patrick West was on. I'm not sure if you... Would you?
Yes.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and pleasant morning to all members of the Honorable House and all of our viewers in person as well as via different media. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give my unqualified support to this very essential piece of legislation. I believe that the merits of it have already been thoroughly explained, and therefore I won't repeat the details. But, Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I did not record my congratulations to the Honorable Minister for the Blue Economy for the quick and effective work that he has spearheaded to ensure that what needs to be done is being done to avoid the ban on our fisheries exports to the United States. And, Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend particularly, today is Men's Day, but a woman, a young woman has stolen the show. I wish to commend the honorable member for the constituency of St. John, my second home, on a sterling contribution to this debate today. Mr. Speaker, very often you hear people lamenting about the state of the youth, that they this, they that, and the other. If there is any doubt in anybody's mind, not only about the potential of our young people, but their proven ability to deliver, the Honorable MP today has dissipated any such doubt by her wonderful delivery. And I'd strongly recommend that it be made available to all of Grenada for its potency, its clarity, and its conviction. Mr. Speaker, I stand here today as one whose very upbringing was defined by fishing. My father, who's still alive today, at age 95, lived his entire adult life, his entire productive life, as a fisherman in Guave, as well as Livera and Sotes. And my constituency, St. Patrick West, is one that depends heavily on the fishing industry. Many a young man and woman from Moncraven, Darby, Prospect, Sotes, and other areas make their living from the sea. And therefore, it is very important that this exercise that we are undertaking today be fully supported. And I am happy to hear that across the political divide, the support for this important bill has been unanimous thus far. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable MP for St. Patrick West. And is it the MP? Oh, sorry, the light is. The Honorable MP for St. George's Northeast. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise very briefly just to state categorically that I support the passage of this bill here this morning. And I have just 4 points to make as it relates to the bill itself being able to reach thus far and potentially averting the ban that is to come that was announced by NOAA. Mr. Speaker, I honestly believe that we are here this morning and it speaks to leadership. You heard all of the various stakeholders mention in terms of their own contributions to bringing us to this point. So I want to join in that chorus to congratulate, of course, the Leader of Government Business for making the presentation this morning of this bill, to also congratulate the Ministry of Legal Affairs, the Attorney General, and, of course, most importantly, the Minister responsible for fisheries, the Honorable Member for St. Andrews Southwest. And, Mr. Speaker, most importantly, to commend the task force who led the charge to be able to get us to this point. It's critical because, Mr. Speaker, it dives into the question about leadership in the country today. This issue is a long-standing issue and has been around since 2016, and it is only now getting dealt with. Mr. Speaker, I could recall when it was first announced, not in this House, but the chatter on the streets were that because we do all kind of thing, and as you heard it mentioned by the member for Karakupiti-Matni, that our Honorable Prime Minister was traveling to where and where, so it is, in a sense, a response to that and this and so on. Could not be further from the truth. Because I want to make the point about travel. At least when the Honorable Prime Minister travels, he returns with things to Grenada. And we know this for a fact. Some people coming just to Parliament here, and they're not attending, they come, they sit in, the days we see them in Parliament sittings, and now here they complaining about they don't want to bring back vehicle to their constituents. They don't ain't doing nothing anyhow, so I'm saying if the Parliament announcer is going to be giving transportation to the office, not to the member for his personal aggrandizement, but to serve his constituency, he needs to take it. Because Grenadians that will benefit, and as far as I know, that constituency, St. George Northwest, it does have a number of fishermen and fisherfolk, and it will augur well if he could bring some ice on that same tray of that truck for them and utilize vehicle to do just that. Mr. Speaker, in commending the task force, we need to now look at how we go forward in the future, because we have to be serious about this. The Honorable Member for St. John spoke earlier on about the lack of planning, or planning in general, of these things. When we talk about these very important sectors, like the fishing sector, it is not enough for us to operate in isolation as if the sectors exist, the fishermen could just share their, catch their fish, and then they could just go and sell it and hustle to make it in life. We need to organize these sectors and professionalize them. A fisherman's income, Mr. Speaker, although sometimes it varies, could be as much as $10,000 a month if they are organized. And as such, Mr. Speaker, that is important too, because while we are discussing the imminent ban and the potential removal of that ban, what we need to be talking about is how we make the fishing sector and the fisherman in particular a bit more durable in the grand scheme of things, notwithstanding the vulnerability. And so I want to publicly charge the task force. I know you were a sunset task force and your responsibility essentially came to an end, but coming out of this legislation, let us see how we can develop the framework for enhancing the durability and reducing vulnerabilities for the fishing sector, both locally, regionally, and potentially internationally. Mr. Speaker, so with these few words, I want to commend this bill and declare my fullest support to the passage of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable MP, for the constituency of St. George Northeast. I now invite the Honorable MP for the constituency of St. Mark to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give my full support to the bill as presented by the Honorable Leader of Government Business, and to add my sentiments to some of the good things. Some in capital letters and underscore, some of the things that was said by members both on this side and the other side. It is not my intention to join the blame game train. I think there are more important things to speak about, so I'll limit myself to the positives. It is really a breath of fresh air and a relief to know that whatever team was put together, I heard about a task force. I'm only hearing about the task force today. And I want to say that with the sentiment expressed of the importance of this industry, I think my colleague on the other side would have recognized that persons would want to know what is happening. I have heard that the government operates on a need-to-know basis. If they feel you need to know, they tell you, and if not, it is retained. I don't know if that is true, but I really think that a situation like this really was a need to know by so many of us, because this doesn't just affect the men who actually go out on the sea to fish, but it affects the nation. We can all claim the fame of being the fishing capital of Grenada, Carriacou, and Fiti Martinique. But the thing is, fishing affects all of us, even if it's just for our diet on the table. But it goes further because you have vendors, you have all kinds of persons who are involved, you have exporters. And speaking about exporters, I also want to add that it's the fishing industry and the export of fish does facilitate the export of other produce from this country. So it would not have affected the withdrawal of the permission or the access to sell in the U.S. would not only have affected the fishermen and the fisher folk directly, but also other farmers who export other produce like the soursop and so on. They use the same Amerijet and so to export, and so I am sure that that a lot of persons in this country are breathing a sigh of relief. And then when we look at the size of the income to the country, I had heard 40 million at one time. I heard the Leader of Government Business and the member for St. George Southeast say that it's 50. Whatever the actual figure is, it is a high amount and a significant contribution to our economy. And I want to express commendations and congratulations to the fishermen who go out there day in, day out, all kinds of strange hours in the morning or in the night when a lot of us would prefer to be in our beds, and they bring the gravy home, whether it's directly to the individual households or otherwise. They do a great job. I also want to place on record my appreciation for the growth that I have seen in the fishing industry in St. Mark as a whole, and particularly in the area of Waltham. I heard my colleague sister on the other side mention some of the things that she would have done, and I think it would be remiss of me if I didn't say what I had done as well in St. Mark, and I take this opportunity to speak about the time when we used to speak about freezer rooms, the cold room people normally call it, when you froze fish to export and all of that. And I was very instrumental in ensuring that and even finding funds for the adequate size of the cold room to be constructed and so on. I got to know the people in Trinidad who fabricated it, a company called McAlfab. I'm sure my colleague will know that. And that's how I got to know them, because when I realized that the wheels were moving too slowly in the fisheries department for that, and the fishermen were clamoring. I took it upon myself to directly communicate and get involved to see how that can happen. And I'm happy, I'm proud to say that I was a part of that. And then it became the ice machines. And I was the one who brought in the first ice machine to Victoria, and it is still functioning now, quite a few years ago. And also, when we got some, because prior to that, we either had to go all the way to St. George or fishermen to purchase ice, or sometimes if Goa had excess, which they didn't always have, we could get from them as well. And I saw that as a necessity. And so the Ministry of Fisheries, what they did was give me the specifications, and they don't know how that ice machine got there. But I made sure that it got there as well. And even when the smaller ones came, St. Mark was also the beneficiaries. And in terms of infrastructure, I want to go back a bit to a time when Grenada, we faced a similar situation that we could have been debarred from exporting fish, and this time the EU played a major role in that. Largely, it was on the areas of water quality, in which NAWASA had a major role to play, and also the infrastructure in terms of the HACCP standard and all of these things that needed to be implemented. And the government at the time, and it was a new National Party administration, and along with other helpers, ensured that every landing, every facility where fish was being taken out to be exported or to be sold locally had the HACCP standards in place. And that was done. And because it was done speedily, I don't know if they had a task force as well, I want to assume so, that we were able to export fish, be approved to export fish to the EU, and by extension, the US and other countries, because a lot of the other countries at that time accepted the EU standard as the gold standard. I'm not sure what is happening now. Just a few weeks ago, I was listening to the news and looking at a program of the Ministry of Fisheries, and there were some visitors from Japan. And I heard the Chief Fisheries Officer as well as the Minister for Fisheries speak about a number of things that happened. A lot of it given by the Japanese, what they did for Grenada many years ago. And again, most of it was done under the new National Party. Like the Grenville, if my memory serves me right, the Grenville Fish Market, the St. George Fish Market, I'm not sure if the Japanese funded it, but it was built around that time. A new market, again, in keeping with HACCP standards. And the Grenville to St. George Road. And I remember the minister saying, persons might wonder, why a road? Because you don't fish on a road. And he explained it, so I wouldn't go to explain that, but it was important at that time to ensure that fish could be transported from Grenville to St. George or wherever it was going to be exported in the best of conditions, because persons are very, especially on the international market, very careful about the kind of fish that they do. So the point is, there might have been some delays, there might have been some oversight here and there, but the point is there were delays on both sides because things could have been fixed before with our administration and with this administration. Let us be clear on that. The minister and the member was able to fix that in weeks. So if this administration has been there for some years, then let's not go in the blame game. Let us not go. Let us look at how, when things are important for the country, we all do whatever we have to do and get it done. So, Mr. Speaker, I support what I'm hearing today. I'm very happy. It is a sigh of relief for me And I just hope that we put whatever little dots that have to be put on the I's and crosses that have to be put on the T's, that these things are done in appropriate time. So come January, we're all ready. And I'm just pleased for Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique, because this is a win for all of us. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable MP for the constituency of St. Mark. I now invite the Honorable MP for St. Patrick East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I must preface by saying I'll be very brief. But I stand in full support of the bill that was deliberated here this morning, and I'm happy that the bill has so far gotten good support to be able to pass. But there are a number of things I want to at least touch on. One of them being the comment about the timing that this bill was brought into Parliament and the issue of whether or not, a member receiving documents and finding that it was insurmountable to have those kind of documents delivered that later. I believe, again, some of us have to understand that the work of the government has to continue, the work of the country has to continue. And so we are elected as members to come to this House to do these people's work. I also want to basically mention the issue of our marine, yes, is dependent on what happens on the land. And again, I want to point out that we have seen illicit dumping throughout Grenada, Carriacou, by our citizens. And it's something that we must take keen interest in to stop. Because what happens on the land? It washes away into the sea, contaminates our fishes. The bottles, the plastic bottles. I remember last month I was in Satés trying to encourage people to put the plastic bottles in bins that were provided. And what we see, for example, in the case in Satés, someone walk away with one of the bins that were provided. I think, again, this is madness. You provide the environment for people to do what is right, but they choose to do wrong sometimes. Again, I want to basically just give our people the notion that cleaning fish on a roadside could destroy the very thing that we have tried to do today, put measures in place to enhance our handling of fish, whether it is in the markets or elsewhere, so that our image internationally can be maintained and we can continue to export our fish worldwide. Again, we must also look at what has recently happened with the threat from NOAA to basically ban our fish if we did not take certain steps. And again, I want to commend the Ministry of Marine Affairs, Honorable Lennox Andrews, and his team for making sure that we can avoid such thing. But again, it all goes back to say that if we do not take cognizance of what is needed to be done on an ongoing basis, not only in fisheries, but every sector of this economy, we will be forever facing those kind of challenges. And so, without further ado, I want to reassure this House that I gave my full support to this bill and hope that we can get it passed here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MP for St. Patrick East. All right. You have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to express my deep appreciation to members of this honorable House for their contribution to this debate. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you. Honorable members, the question is that the bill be read a second time. All those who are of that opinion, say aye. Of the contrary opinion, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Bill for an act shortly entitled the Fisheries Amendment Bill 2025.
Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that this honorable House resolves itself into a committee of the whole House to consider this bill clause by clause. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that this Honorable House resolves itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill clause by clause. All those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. Honorable members, this Honorable House is now in committee.
Clause 2, amendment to Section 2 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 2 forms part of the bill. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Clause 3, insertion of a new Section 28A to the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 3 forms part of the bill. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Clause 4, amendment of Section 40 of the Principal Act.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 4 forms part of the bill. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
Clause 1, short title.
Honorable members, the question is that Clause 1 forms part of the bill. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to move that the House resumes and the chairman of the committee reports progress on the bill. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that the House resumes and the chairman of the committee reports progress on the bill. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. So this Honorable House now resumes. I have to report that the bill was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed without amendment. Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the House, that the chairman's report be adopted. Thank you.
Honorable members, the question is that the chairman's report be adopted. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it. Do you have government business?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the third reading of the bill.
Honorable members, the question is that the bill be read a third time. Honorable members, the question is that the bill be read a third time and pass. Those who are in agreement, say aye. Those who oppose, say no. The ayes have it. Indeed, the ayes have it.
A bill for an act shortly entitled the Fisheries Amendment Bill 2025.
Item number 16, request for leave to move the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance.
Do you have government business?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I move the adjournment, I wish to congratulate all of our men on this auspicious day as we celebrate International Men Day. I recognize the men of this Parliament and you also being a man, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Prime Minister, and all of our leaders, including on the opposing side. I also want to remember our men who are lodged at the Richmond Hill Prison, those at the hospitals who are aching at this time, those who are home, bedridden because of illnesses. Mr. Speaker, I pray for their healing, that God will touch their bodies, and bring healing to them. To those who are incarcerated, that they would find comfort in knowing that God indeed is a liberator. Mr. Speaker, as a father, I want to take this opportunity to remind our young men the importance of avoiding violence and unnecessary confrontation, and to ask our men to consider peaceful resolutions to conflicts. And we ask our women to continue to stand by our side, as they have always done. Because, after all, Mr. Speaker, this journey requires our companions in the workplace, at our homes, in our villages, in the church. So we want to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to remember all of our men in Grenada, those in the diaspora, and the wider communities. With this, Mr. Speaker, I hereby move that this Honorable House be adjourned, sine die. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable MP for St. Patrick West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek your leave to make some comments pertaining to my work as a member of the House Committee. Mr. Speaker, the House Committee is comprised of 5 members, with yourself, your Honorable self, as the chair, 2 members from the government side, Honorable Tevin Andrews and I, and 2 members from the opposition side, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition and the Honorable Member for St. Mark. Mr. Speaker, sometime in the year 2024, if my memory serves me right, the House Committee considered the question of empowering members of Parliament to be able to serve their constituencies and the constituents more effectively and more ably. A decision was taken that a vehicle would be provided to each constituency, not for the personal use of the MP, but to enable the MP to execute his or her functions as a representative of the people. Mr. Speaker, there was unanimity in the committee as it regards that decision. So it is rather astounding now to hear members of the opposition who sat in that same committee and agreed to the decision pretend that there is some nefarious intention behind that decision. Mr. Speaker, when nomination day is set and we get 6 people to nominate us, in effect, we are applying for a job. And we are not applying for a side hustle, but for a job to represent the people and to get the business of the nation done. Mr. Speaker, through an initiative first set forward by the Honorable Prime Minister, endorsed by Cabinet and subsequently Parliament, each member of this House effective 2024, has been enjoying a salary that is above the median income of the average Grenadian. Therefore, there is no reasonable excuse that one can put forward that after being given adequate notice of a sitting of this House, you find it more important to be gallivanting, to be chasing dollars, and to be treating your work as a member of parliament as a pankwai, as a side hustle. Mr. Speaker, members of this honorable House, people of Grenada, I hope that we are all taking note of those who waltz in for 5 minutes and walk back out as if your business is not important. I hope you notice those who, for all sorts of frivolous reasons, refuse to participate in the proceedings of this House, boycotting when they should be here, calling so-called press conferences, Mr. Speaker. Take note, people of Grenada. So, Mr. Speaker, those of us who are here, who show up unless we are ill or out on state business, are the ones who are taking the people's business seriously. Those who talk about pain and suffering, it must be the pain they're still feeling post-June 2023, 2022, correction. Because according to statistics provided by the ministry headed by my honorable colleague here, the unemployment rate in Grenada has hit an historical low, 7.5%. And most of the people who are not working, they are either unqualified for the available jobs or they simply prefer to not work. The only time in Grenada's history that unemployment was lower was during the period of slavery, when there was forced labor. So I wish to commend the entire team, led by our Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Minister of Economic Development, for doing such a sterling job in guiding the nation's economy, even amidst the turbulence of the global climate. So, Mr. Speaker, even though it appears that a decision has been made by one of the two sides on the other side, I would still appeal to what's left of the conscience, Mr. Speaker, to accept the vehicles so that you can better represent the people. If you were doing that on a matter of conscience, you should give back the $5,000 a month too. And you should not accept the $10,000 constituency allowance, Mr. Speaker. Conscience must not be selective or convenient. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Anyway, I know you can leave it to someone.
Thank you, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. For a moment, I thought we were in the debating mode, and so it kind of caught me. The mood caught me, and I rose to seek a point of clarity, but it's not applicable. But since it's on the adjournment, I would just like to speak on my behalf in terms of the $10,000. Mr. Speaker, $5,000 has been given to us. That goes into our salary. And as you and your staff know, that the $10,000 does not go into our bank accounts, and that I think 14 of us get the $10,000 goes into an account that is the constituency account that has to be accounted for before another disbursement can be made. I don't know if we on this side are treated the same as the other side, but that is our understanding. We have to bring our bills have them signed and well verified before we get. So if the $10,000, we cannot give it up, it's not ours, it doesn't go into our accounts. And if it's given to the constituency and members or the government side feel that they need to take it back, then let them put the mechanisms in place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable MP, for the constituency of St. Mark. Honorable members, the question is that this Honorable House adjourn sine die. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say no. This Honorable House now stands adjourned sine die.
Very pleased to call this brief ceremony to order and to extend a warm welcome to, of course, our Speaker, Honorable Leo Kito, and the other members of the Houses of Parliament, representatives from the various constituency offices, and of course my esteemed colleagues here at the Parliament. For us at the Parliament, today marks an important step in strengthening
wonderful blessings you have given unto us as a nation. We ask that you will be with us. Bless this short ceremony. May it bring honor and glory to your name. For we humbly pray in the name of the Father, name of the Son, in the name of the blessed Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated, everyone. I want to join the protocol officer in greeting and extending, of course, my respect to you, the dignitaries of state, and of course, not just the political directorate, but the intelligentsia of the nation. I am delighted to be here to share with us from the word of the Lord, and I want to share just a little thought with us. The Bible says in James chapter 1 and verse 17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. The Apostle James would have us understand that God must be recognized in everything that we do. There is something about putting God first that results in a blessing to all of us. A God-fearing nation will inexorably be a prosperous nation. God blesses us in a way that will bring glory to his name, because his blessings are for us to receive them and then in turn use them to serve humanity. God loves us. And that's more than a cliche. It's a theological truism. It is something that we have experienced of God for humanity. We understand how God values humanity. We too will treat each other with love and respect. It is a privilege for us to serve humanity in whatever capacity we are called to do so. We must consider it not a demeaning task, but a wonderful privilege. You know, I remember several years ago, and I am not preaching, I promise you I will be short, just a thought. I remember several years ago, Mr. Prime Minister, during the American Civil War, there was a particular sergeant. He was in charge of a group of men. And they were going through the forest, and a log had fallen across the trail. And he immediately commanded his men to move it, get it out of the way. And the men were trying. It was difficult, it was laborious, it was hard, and he would not help them. Finally, they heard the hooves of a horse coming. The horses, you know, the gallop, the sound of gallop, they coming. A horse was coming, and a man stopped. He alighted from the horse, and he took off his coat and he went down in the trench in the dirt and he helped the men to move the log. And he walked up to the sergeant afterwards and said, "Why didn't you help them?" He said, "Don't you know I am the sergeant around here? I give the orders." He said, "But the men needed your help." "Yes, but I'm the sergeant here. I'm in charge." And the gentleman said to him, "Okay, well, the next time your men need help, please call me." He said, "Who are you?" "I am General George Washington." And so sometimes we forget that the positions and the blessings that God gives to us, they are for us to, yes, enjoy them, but in turn, use them to serve humanity. I want to say that Grenada is a blessed country. I mean, I've gone to places and they have motor vehicles and they have other assets, and nobody ever mentioned the name of God or having a ceremony of dedication. Radical atheism is in academia in just about all our first world countries. There is a God absenteeism that characterizes our government in several places. But I thank God for Grenada. We remain a God people, and I can tell you we will continue to enjoy the blessings of the Lord. The Bible tells us that all good gifts come from God. And the Bible enjoins us to be thankful. There is something about a spirit of gratitude. It takes our focus off the gift and it lets us recognize the giver. Anytime there is gratitude expressed, it says, hey, this thing has a source. And all that we have has a source. Our life has a source. Our life is from God. So we are here to recognize the fact that all that we have, the blessing on our economy, everything we have has come as a gift from God. But you say, "Pastor, I haven't seen God down here doing the stuff." But the truth is, the intelligence that He has given unto us, the absolute giftedness to do what we have to do and do it well, it's all a gift from God. And somebody said to me, "But Pastor, I work for my vehicle, you know." I said, "Yes, you did, but how much per dozen did you pay for your heartbeats when you were working?" It all came as a gift from God. And so today, we want to thank God for the resources He has given unto our nation that we could acquire the motor vehicles for the purpose of serving our people. And we trust and hope that our constituencies will be better served because of the enhanced mobility. It is all that this government is all about. I'm sure our beloved Prime Minister would agree. The government is about serving the people and ameliorating our conditions and making us a better nation. Well, the gift of these vehicles must be seen as part and parcel of the whole agenda of nation building and servicing and enhancing the condition of our people. And for that, I just want to commend the government for the whole idea of ensuring that there is increased mobility for service to our people. So today we want to pray that God will bless the assets. They're nice. I was looking at them. Boy, they're so beautiful. I remember some years ago I had to be in Cuba and some duties, and when I saw the vehicles that were being used, in fact, for the first time in my life, I was going downtown. I flagged down a taxi drawn by a horse, you know, yes. And things are not as bright in certain places, but we're so happy that we are able as a nation to afford beautiful assets, and it speaks to the prudent management of our administration, and it also speaks to the gift of God. So today, I want to offer a very special prayer to God as an attitude, as an act of gratitude for what He has done. And I pray today that as the vehicles are used, that they will be cured. Now, it is not uncommon for some people to have the idea and disposition that, oh, it didn't come from my pocket, so I can drive it anyhow. You know, after all, I'm not the one paying for maintenance. But we must recognize the fact that what we have as a nation belongs to all of us. And just as how we would care for our personal assets, we must care for the assets of the state. Because at the end of the day, it's for all of us. So I encourage those who will use them to use them prudently, to exercise wise judgment, to do defensive driving, to look out for others, to ensure that courtesy is displayed on the roads. And if you hear a sound, don't wait long to have it checked out. Remember, it's a privilege to have these vehicles at our disposal. Let us, by God's grace, cure them that they can give us long service in this work of taking care of our people in the nation of Grenada. So I invite you now to stand with me as I lift up before God the beautiful vehicles that He has provided. Let's all pray. Almighty God, our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your kindness. And today, as we pause to dedicate the vehicles to you, we are acknowledging that you are the ultimate source of all that we enjoy and all that come to us, all the blessings, whether it's in nice clothes or nice cars or academic achievements, degrees, whatever. All good gifts come from you. And we acknowledge you as the giver, and we thank you for all that you have done. We lift up before you these cars, the fleet of vehicles. Father, we ask that your hand will be upon them. We pray that your mighty angels will sit beside the drivers. We ask, oh God, that there will be no deaths or serious in motion. We pray that you'll protect them when there is rainfall or when there are slippery conditions on the road. Whatever the situation, Father, we ask that your holy hand will be on them, that you will protect them from accidents and dangers, from death. Please, Father, let us not hear of any of these vehicles crash and there are fatalities. No, Father, today we pray for increased protection on the vehicles and on those who will drive them. Father, we pray that as the constituencies are served, overall condition in the nation will be improved. One people, one nation. We must love each other, be thankful to you. And finally, when you come, we ask that all of us will go home to live with you in paradise. For we pray in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and in the name of the blessed Holy Spirit. Let everybody say, Amen. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, Pastor, for invoking God's presence, for inviting his wonderful blessings, and for your stirring words of encouragement. Always so refreshing. Thank you, sir. Folks, as we move closer to that joyful moment when, as we say in Grenada, we can bounce the keys, I'll ask that you just hold one moment to receive some remarks from our dear Speaker of the Houses of Parliament, the Honorable Leo Keto. Sir.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Prime Minister and colleagues of the House of Parliament, the Minister, Jerome Gordon, and everyone gathered here. It is a very meaningful moment for us here in Parliament. We are about to do an important part of our objectives in Parliament, is that of empowering the members of Parliament so that they can more effectively do the work for which they have been tasked. And so I want to make a few things clear. The vehicles that are being received today for the parliamentary offices are coming from the Parliament of Grenada. So I don't want us to confuse them. They will be put into Parliament, right? And we try our best if, right, the work of our members. We try to our MP more effective in the representation of constituencies and their people. And so the job of parliamentary representatives effectively. And so the vehicles were in fact ordered for all members of parliament. Everyone. There is no political side. Once you are a parliamentary rep, right, we have, as a parliament, endeavored to provide a vehicle for you. Because we understand very well that traditionally MPs had to use their personal vehicles as trucks and pickups, doing all kinds of work. And so we are trying to change the game, trying to make sure that all MPs are adequately served so that they can effectively deliver the service to the nation. And as the Speaker of the House at this time, I am honored to be able to effectively hand over the keys. I know it has been long in coming, but it is finally here. And I expect that those of you who have received and are receiving the vehicles would actually put it into very, very good use. I thank you, Pastor Jerome, for soliciting God's blessing on these vehicles, because we want to make sure that we care for them. Whoever has to drive them, there's a history that says we don't take care of government vehicles very well. I'm not sure you're familiar with this, right? But we need to treat these vehicles as our personal vehicles, right? So that we can effectively deliver. Now, we are going in this order. The constituency of St. David, right, will receive its keys first. And that is clear, right? Because the Prime Minister is first among equals. And so this is why we chose that approach. And we are going to move downwards, looking at the sitting arrangement in Parliament. Right? So we move from St. David right down to, who is down there? South St. George, I think? Yeah. And the plan was for the other side to move from the leader of the opposition downwards. But it is very clear to us the position of the other side. So here we are. The Honorable MP for the Tongue of St. George indicated that he will receive the vehicle for his office. And so I'm not sure if somebody is here. Oh, you're here? Okay, thanks. So, begin the process for the constituency of St. David. This is the key. Honorable PM. Yes. I'm very happy. We're finally here. All right. Yes. There is no money here. what we have here is the vehicle use policy. Right? So that would guide whoever has to drive and take care of the vehicle. You should be led to
this one.
Right. This one here. Okay. Yeah, this one here. All right. That should be which one?
St. George Southeast. But you want to wait a moment because I think the Prime Minister, the camera is following. So you and the, yeah, and I'll call them out. St. Patrick West. Yeah. The Great South, South St. George. Lisa, you next. And last but by no means least, the tongue of St. George.